Hi, everyone. I'm Doreen Redman with AARP North Dakota, and I'm so glad you've joined us for today's Passport to Healthy Living for the Second Half of Life program. These online events allow us to connect healthy living topics and with you out there and still stay safe and do this from your own home. For more than 60 years, AARP has been working on the health and well-being of those of us 50 plus, and we're not stopping now. We're continuing to do it, even bringing you these programs virtually. So we hope you enjoy today's program, and we're on Zoom. So some of the things that we have available to us include the question and answer feature. So during today's program, please use the Q&A to ask any questions of our panelists, and we'll come back toward the end and get those questions answered. So today, I am so pleased to have with us Chandra Zeman-Bolinsky of the NDSU Extension Service Burleigh County and Katie Junkie of Bismarck Burleigh Public Health. And ladies, we'll be happy to have you join us here. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Great, great. Well, it's a pleasure, and we're going to just jump right into things and let you both tell us a little bit about yourselves. Chandra, if you'd like to get started, and then we'll just pass it over to Katie.
Perfect. Okay, so my name is Chandra Zeman-Bolinsky, and I'm actually really thrilled to be here today. In the last 11 months, Katie and I have really focused on, your situation where you may be home more often and sort of socially distant, and that's what we're promoting, to actually remain socially connected, maybe physically distant, but socially connected. And we have a few pillars to help you thrive during the second half of your life today. And I'll let Katie introduce herself.
Sounds great.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Junkie, and I am the Registered Dietitian and Nutrition Services Coordinator at Bismarck Burleigh Public Health. And really excited to partner with Chandra and AARP on this program. And so with that, I'm just going to jump right into it. And so I am going to screen share. So I'll pull that up for slides for you all, and then we'll get going. All right. So today there might be some questions that we want to ponder throughout to kind of get you thinking and the mindset as we go through the topics. So thinking about how can you stay safe and active and involved as you age? What are some common sense practices that you can do in leading a healthier and longer life? And then what are things you do to feel alive and involved? And so I want you to take those kind of and put them in the back of your mind as we go through today. And hopefully the conversations that Chandra and I have can help you answer those questions. But from today, you're going to be able to build an awareness of healthy living habits, identify those priorities to help take those steps toward living a longer life, and then how to continue learning and stay involved in positive activities as you age. And then fostering that dialogue among adults and others. And so like Chandra said, staying socially connected now and in the future. So what does positive aging mean? And I think this is really important to kind of define. And the topic of positive aging really has increased over the years and has become more of a common theme and something that we hear more often. And so it is really the ability to maintain low risk of disease, high mental and physical functioning, and active engagement with life. And so this is key in thinking about how you want to live that second part of life in a positive manner, and not just mentally, but physically, emotionally as well. And so while people often think of physical well-being when they think positive aging, right away when we talk living a healthier life or positive aging, that I think that physical piece comes to mind. But that's not the only thing, because really having the right frame set and preparing yourself mentally And having the right attitude is really important for that positive aging as well. And so a long and healthy life is not going to be possible without lifelong learning, continued active involvement, and a hopeful outlook. And I think those three things are just hit the nail on the head, especially during the time that we are in right now, and having that hopeful outlook, finding ways to continue to be involved, even though things maybe look differently, and learning some new things to take your life to the next level. So there are 4 key dimensions of positive aging. I will cover mental and physical, and Chandra will cover social and emotional. So we'll just quick define what those areas might entail. Mental could be lifelong learning and curiosity. You're never too young or old to learn something new. And so really trying to engage and learn new things and challenge your mental health. And I don't mean mental health as, maybe the behavioral health thing of the piece that we're maybe used to hearing, but just your mental health and mental strength, and look to challenge your brain a little bit more. Physical is going to be exactly that, your physical health and activity, how you feel. Social is going to cover social interest and active involvement, so those social connections. And emotional wellness is going to be that hopeful outlook piece and avoiding depression and staying positive in your life. So what is the mental wellness component, and how does that apply to lifelong learning? This really allows you to gain new knowledge that may be essential to adjusting to the challenges of aging, and they can help you build a new awareness and skills that will make aging more positive and promote wellness as you age and in that second half of life. And so again, maintaining that positive outlook, be curious. Learn new skills is always a great way to incorporate some of those things into your second half of life and have a different outlook. Be mentally active. So challenge your brain, some of those brain games and things that cause you to maybe have to think a little bit harder. One of my favorite things to be mentally active is brush my teeth with my non-dominant hand. So for example, I'm right-handed. So if I were to brush with my left hand, that's going to it's a simple skill and task, but it causes my brain to think a little bit more and keeps your brain engaged. Grow your knowledge, learning a new skill. Maybe Zoom is your new skill that you've picked up over this past year, and a way to stay connected to. And go online is also an opportunity to pursue mental wellness. There's personal planning that might allow you to think what you would like your future to look like. So kind of sit down and think, how do you really want to live out your second half of life? What are your goals? And this is key, because we don't stop living at a certain age. And in fact, there's a lot of opportunity and growth in that second half. And so set new goals for yourself. What do I want when I'm older? Identify your values. Those are so important. Be realistic. Obviously, realize your maybe limitations and understand your expectations. And then know what you believe and stay true to those. Then we have physical wellness. And I think this is one maybe that might be easier to resonate with, because when we think physical wellness, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Caring for yourself, staying healthy so that you can move and be active in that second half of life. And that is key. But positive aging starts with being comfortable at the age you are at. So taking good care of your health, eating right, visit your primary care doctor, go to those doctor appointments. But this last bullet, forget Botox. And so with that is kind of that realization of we're going to change as we age. That's just the body's way of going through the aging process, and that's okay. So be happy at the age that you are at. No quick fixes. For example, Botox isn't going to change your age. Skincare products aren't going to change your age. Don't maybe necessarily fall for those gimmicks, but take care of yourself and and just feel good at where you're at in life. Regular exercise is so important. There's a lot of benefits that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. For example, prevention of chronic diseases like heart disease, stroke, maintaining that blood pressure or reducing high blood pressure, helps with bone loss and osteoporosis, muscle strengthening, helps control type 2 diabetes or prevention of type 2 diabetes if you haven't experienced that. Additionally, lowering blood sugar levels, preventing falls, and so working on that strength and stability, relieving stress, which is one of my favorite pieces and also a benefit to your mental health and strengthening your brain, promoting relaxation, and then increasing energy. So if you do have to chase around grandkids or keep up with your younger friends, regular exercise is a key component to maintaining physical wellness. So there are 4 types of exercise that are super important to a balanced exercise regimen: endurance, strength, balance, and flexibility. And so endurance is going to be strengthening your heart or your cardiovascular level. So something that will increase your heart rate more than just sitting. So if you were to go for a walk around the block, that would be considered an endurance exercise because your heart rate is going to increase more than if you were at a resting position. Strength, it's going to be something that builds strength and works your muscles. Balance, exactly what it means, just working on your balance and that stability piece from day-to-day tasks. And then flexibility, keeping you limber so that you can move and maybe don't wake up with so many aches and pains. And all 4 of those are important components to physical wellness. They need to all balance each other out. We don't want to just do one of them. We want to try and incorporate all 4 of them. So some examples I can give, and you can jot these down and try them at a later time, but some examples that you could do even right now as I go through them, if you wanted to join in, would be an endurance activity that you could do right here from your home or where you're listening in, would be just to march in place. That simple activity of marching in place, walking in place, is going to increase that heart rate. For strength, it could be something like wall push-ups. Just going up against the wall and just pushing in and out is going to work those arms. A nice, easy activity that is going to challenge your muscles a little bit. Balance, one of my favorite activities, and you can do this while watching television, visiting on the telephone, is stand behind a chair. So you have that for support if needed. Hold onto the chair and then just pick up one foot and try balance on one foot or the other foot and work on that, strengthening that balance. At first, it may be challenging, but as you do it more often, that will improve. And that's really important for as we do age and walking and keeping our stability when we are out and about. And then finally, flexibility. So just simply stretching your arms as you would across or above your head. You could stretch your legs. If you're really limber, you could try to touch your toes. Definitely just know your limitations and don't try to go too crazy if you haven't participated in some of these activities. We have a lot more examples that we could share with you, but those are just some to kind of get you thinking on ways you can incorporate into your routine. So here are some more examples just to get that 30 minutes of activity a day, which is what is recommended for adults. And of course, weather permitting for outdoor activity. So walking is always great, whether it's indoor walking. You can walk at the mall, walk at your local wellness facility outside if you feel safe and sidewalks are cleared this time of year. I think we can substitute gardening for maybe shoveling nowadays. And again, do what you feel comfortable with and what your level of fitness is. Pushing your grandchildren in a stroller, something to consider for this spring or summer. Water aerobics are great, and yoga, all nice opportunities. Of course, depending on you, again, whether you want to get out and about or if you prefer to do these activities in your home will determine your activities. Some other examples, just parking further in a parking lot and walking the distance across the parking lot to, go to the grocery store, or where, park a little bit down the block if you're visiting a friend. Ways to sneak activity in. And just some other examples are listed on this screen as well. Anything you can do to add more steps and movement into your day. And of course, the 30 minutes doesn't have to be done all at one time. You can break that up into, 10-minute bouts throughout the day, but just know more movement is the best. All right, and with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and I will turn it over to Chandra to talk about social and emotional wellness.
Perfect. Thank you. And so as we transition, I just want to mention at the end there, Katie was talking about taking advantage of improving your physical wellness. And we talked a little bit about balance, a little bit about strength exercises, and a couple others. Just want to reiterate that it's a great idea to get balance exercises in every day. There are certain super easy balance exercises, and we have another program with NDSU Extension, as well as some other partners within the community that offer it. And it actually is called Stepping On, and it's a falls prevention program. And so we teach you those balance exercises that can be done daily. Just another add on the strength exercises, those should be about every other day at a minimum. So, at the age of 65 plus, we find that, you do need that recovery day in between with the strength exercises. So perfect. And if you're interested in that, you can always call my office. And I should reiterate, I'm with NDSU Extension, Burleigh County. While I share here and get this up, I actually want to thank Dr. Sean Brotherson and his students on campus. He's our specialist with human development and family science, and his students helped us update this presentation. So I just want to verify, Katie, that you're able to see this. Perfect. Okay, everybody. So let's talk about the second half here, the social wellness piece, as well as the mental health or mental wellness, emotional wellness piece, excuse me. And I guess what I want to say is that this social wellness piece is what Katie and I have focused on, as I mentioned earlier, in the last at least 11 months. Because we're finding that, well, at first, the children missed each other when school was closed. And now we're finding that everybody, think about this. Do you miss somebody? Everybody needs this piece. So as we get into it with the social wellness, important dimensions of social wellness as a component of positive aging include the equal sign there, closeness to loved ones, sharing yourself with others, and active engagement with life. So closeness with others, particularly family and friends, is actually a key aspect of social wellness and healthy living in later life. To age positively and stay healthy, older people should develop close relationships. And so, we're going to get to thinking about this in a little activity in a minute here, because you might think, well, I've lost touch with some friends. I'm not even sure who my circle is. I feel so lonely. And we're going to help you brainstorm and sort of work your way out of that and come back to the helpful way of thinking. So, continue to develop those close relationships with loved ones and actively socialize, because an active social life will keep you engaged in it. And it presents physical and mental challenges to keep you lively. That's what Katie covered. And secondly, B, humans are social beings. So needs, for belonging and support are met through close relationships. Suggestions for developing closeness with others do include, and it should come up next here, and we'll just bring them all up. Make plans to keep your family members and friends close and meaningful in your life. What can you do to accomplish this? So be a resource to family members to give advice or discuss concerns. Your life experience provides you with perspective and insight that can be very valuable, maybe not even just to your own self-talk, but others around you. So here's a thought. This is a fun one. Make recordings of favorite family stories to share with your grandchildren. And I remember my dad saying this about his grandma, and here now that she's gone, I did not do this enough with my grandparents. So, this can actually be a really meaningful social activity as you get older, passing along those family values and skills that you've developed, to others, and passing them along, including family and friends, can help you enrich the next generation and continue to develop those close relationships. Something like photography, maybe you have that skill. I'm thinking of, sewing, or even board games, or, your bridge clubs or pinochle. I love pinochle, by the way, so call me if you have a group. And these can just be some examples that I can think of here. As with any relationship, maintaining a positive relationship between older adults and adult children, so your grown children, requires some work and communication to make it strong and successful. And here's what I really love: pursue open communication. Really, scan your dialogue, or what your plan is to, discuss maybe a difficult subject with your grown children, and make sure that you're open and able to, also hear what they have to say to ensure that relationship continues. And you stay connected. So yeah, here's that activity that I promised. And, if we were face to face, we would give this to you on a sheet of paper, but we can do this just very easily. And I'll give you just a second to think about it. Think about the connections in your life. Think about a couple things. Who is your web of support? And maybe those relationships could be improved. Just as an example, I can give you, I have friends across the country. I've done a lot of traveling. I'm also in the military. So I have created some pretty strong bonds with friends that live in Atlanta, for example, or live in Texas. And, I absolutely would consider them at least a primary contact. And I probably could reach out a little bit more, even if it was just a text message or an email, or maybe you are a phone person. I have a neighbor who has been very careful during this time. And you know what? We just stand outside and visit. And they have a beautiful deck. We might turn on the lights. That might be an example. So as you look at this here, this activity, you can consider, who's in your web of support, and who maybe you might want as a primary contact, one or two primaries, and reach out so that those relationships continue to stay connected. Okay, so social wellness and healthy living here, and continuing to talk about the social piece that's so important. So sharing yourself with others is another important element of social wellness and positive aging. It might not come naturally for some of us, but older adults who have life experience can offer tremendous guidance and knowledge to others. A willingness to help others and share yourself helps keep life interesting and vital. Research actually confirms that people who are socially connected with others have less sickness, have stronger immune systems, are less likely to miss work if you're still working, or family events, and experience more meaning in everyday life. And I'm guessing you all can probably relate to this right now. You can even think of somebody who, you haven't seen much of, and maybe they look different now. So even just that reaching out can make a difference. And here's some suggestions to share yourself and get more involved in your community. Let's see if they all can come up. Become a pen pal. And you know what, Katie and I have actually come up with this a little bit. And we've done a couple of programs. We have a current program right now going on, but it's closed. And then we're thinking about opening others. So if you are just dying to become a pen pal with somebody, go ahead and call us and I'll take that call at Burleigh County Extension. And we can figure something out, because we are always interested in responding to what you need, what the community needs. And there are still opportunities to volunteer. I know that there are organizations within our Bismarck Burleigh community that we have people at home that want to help. Maybe you get on that list, and I'm just in the process of thinking about some things that I can get help with. So I'm sort of creating a list. So don't be afraid to reach out. Also organize other older people in your community into that volunteer effort or groups with similar interests. Maybe you sponsor a collection for a cause that you can support. I know there's a local soup kitchen in town in Bismarck here, and currently one of our staff just volunteered there, and they need things like broth and all paper products. They actually created a space for individuals to be able to do laundry. And so they need dryer sheets of all things that you might not think of. And so this is an opportunity for you to be able to create a collection for a cause. We also find ways to reach out and help others. Just try something new. Maybe it's just new. Get involved in a hospital or healthcare service program and, contact a scout group. Or of course, with NDSU Extension, we always have the 4-H program as our we are very close in supporting the 4-H program, and maybe there's an opportunity for you, something new. So here we go. Yet another dimension of social wellness and healthy living in later life is active engagement in life. So that sentence up top. Well, most individuals have more time available to them as they age. Some people may actually withdraw from activities as they retire or get older. And maybe even that's just what's going on currently. I know lots of individuals who are maybe 70 plus who just even in my family, friends of my family, and they're almost always very active. And just right now, all of a sudden they stopped everything. And we're promoting that you don't do that. Staying actively engaged in a variety of interesting activities and relationships is actually a key to your social wellness. A couple more suggestions. Let's see. So get more actively involved in a cause or interest that is meaningful to you. We did cover that just a little bit a moment ago, so I'll skip past to the passion. Pursue a passion. And so I would sort of, now's the opportunity. I would define, and sometimes people think I don't have a passion. That actually makes me a little depressed. But think about it this way, and I guess, I'm not everybody's in the mode of studying, but Katie did mention we're all lifelong learners. And somebody put it to me this way. I mean, again, going back to my military experience, we were out in the middle of the field. We were cold, we were hungry, and he pulls out of his pocket some notes. And I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm studying." He was actually finishing up med school. And I said, "You're studying out here? I mean, aren't you already tired and sort of exhausted?" And he said, "It's never really studying if it's something that just naturally interests you." He just couldn't get enough of learning about how to medically take care of people. So I would say that's maybe how to define a passion. Put some fun into your life by doing something you enjoy each day. 15 to 30 minutes a day doing something you really enjoy can actually make a difference throughout the entire day. Just to add to that, I was teaching another program, and as Katie talked about that physical wellness piece, you can actually reap the hormonal release benefits and just the feeling of betterment for up to 14 to 16 hours after a 30-minute workout of moderate exercise. So those benefits continue even mentally. Engage in a community of support. This might be a church. This might be the time to do that more than ever. Synagogue or any other faith community, a community group or club or other meaningful social connections. Okay. So just a piece about volunteering, and right now it might feel like if you are an avid volunteer that those things are on hold, but I do want to mention that, if this is the piece that really keeps you engaged and involved, whomever the director is of the volunteer program that you typically work with, they likely have an option for you. So if you haven't connected recently, please do. Whether it's the senior centers or RSVP, or just, there's a social network of us that need volunteers. Again, I support the youth program 4-H. So we still need you. And so reach out, because that can actually be so uplifting to your spirit. And, right now, as Katie said, it's not gardening season necessarily, but you could be looking into your seeds and thinking about how you're going to help with the community garden. We do have a community garden that we support here at NDSU Extension. And so it's just a thought that you may want to, anything to look forward to stay socially connected and continue that positivity. So here's that piece, that emotional wellness that we want to talk about. Key elements of emotional wellness in later life include that equal sign, maintaining a positive outlook on life and, reducing stress and anxiety. Positive outlook is super important. I've said that phrase a little bit earlier, but a lot of your outlook has to do with that self-talk or that conversation you have with yourself. And I just want to interject a quick learning that we discuss where, your hurtful thoughts versus your harmful thoughts and maintaining positivity. And you can literally start reflecting on the thoughts that are harmful. That could be just simply getting in the way of you being active or staying connected with somebody. You tell yourself stop, and it actually becomes pretty natural once you start recognizing it and adding in instead a helpful thought. And so a helpful thought might be, well, think of it this way. Okay, so it's snowing outside. I can't walk. Well, let's turn that around for our emotional wellness and say, actually, I could go to the mall and walk. I could walk indoors. And so maintaining that positive outlook by sort of controlling your self-talk and maintaining that positive, hopeful view of life is linked with your emotional wellness. Aging brings processes of change with it naturally, and such changes actually can become really challenging. However, despite changes, maintaining a positive and hopeful outlook on life is very much possible. And we'll get into our suggestions here on this one. So let's see, bring all three of them up. Stop harmful, hopeless thoughts. We mentioned that. Few things can damage a positive outlook more quickly than dwelling on a negative thought. And that can be just as simple as, the snow or the rain, or, maybe it's foggy out. We've had some fog here, or wind. Catch those thoughts and turn them around and replace them, and continue to feel uplifted with maybe your creative ideas, even if they seem sort of dreamy and out there. Even think of a favorite story or, a quotation, and that you can actually order cards that just have positive sayings. And I have one right here that says, today I'm talking about reach for the stars, for example. So celebrate your successes. Do not spend time dwelling on challenges or perceived failures. Refocus your attention from what you consider challenges or mistakes to positive things that have worked out. And then pursue an overall positive outlook on life. And, it's really infectious when you're near somebody who does that consistently. You really want to be around them more. And so how fun to, just take on that characteristic. Don't let things upset you for a long period of time or cause you continuing anxiety. When I went to a national conference, those of us who do what I do in other states, we get together once a year. And there was just this sweet lady. I think she was 85 or 86, and they had a testimonial video. She had lost a child when she was 2. So the child was 2 when this lady had lost her baby. It was an accident. She blamed herself. She had 2 other kids. She had a husband. She was just devastated. And she said it took her 2 years to pull out of it, but she realized that everybody else needed her. And she sort of just did a 180 and realized that to be the example, that if she could pull out of it and maintain a positive outlook, that, she could bring the siblings and her husband up with her. And that's exactly what she did. And you could even just tell on the video how wonderful she was to be around. Do something to have fun and uplift your mind and heart. And that's really what this gal was saying. And I thought of her when I saw that tip. So here we go. Here's a big list, but it's a pretty thorough list. We normally would do a learning activity together, but I will just say, hey, these are some examples, and this probably speaks to 1 or 2 at least to you. And I think I'm going over to the right side there, bake bread. There's a lot of us. Did you know during the summer here, there was a shortage on yeast, I'm trying to say. So maybe, Katie, you tried to bake and I had a hard time finding yeast. I'm glad I had a big container in the freezer, but I think we've recovered from that. And if you're a home canner, which I find to be, even if I feel like I don't have time, I still try to do it once a year because I find it to be so fulfilling. And usually it's a social thing because I'm doing it with my mom or my grandma or even my brothers help out. They like pickles. And so, this summer there was a shortage of those lids for canning. But again, I think we've come out of that. Eat well, stretch. And actually, I'm going to promote you to just sort of stretch your arms out for a second. We do have just a few more slides, but you'll find that it's kind of scary with my background here, but you'll find that your brain will be more engaged if you even just stretch a little bit about every 20 minutes as you're listening. Visit with a neighbor, practice yoga. That might seem a little bit intimidating if you've never taken a yoga class, but truly it's about connecting your breath with your muscles. And it actually almost seems sort of like your well-being, your emotional well-being as well. So it's sort of a whole body experience. And it's a beginner yoga shouldn't intimidate you at all because usually the instructors are about the most welcoming people you've ever met. So hopefully that's something you consider. And maybe it's just go for a drive. When we teach our caregivers program, it's called Powerful Tools for Caregivers. Almost every one of those caregivers says, I just get out and take a drive and I'm able to reset. Maybe it's a bath or just visit with somebody you care about. Maybe it's a good movie. A little bit more on that emotional wellness. So learning to manage stress so it's not overwhelming actually can greatly facilitate your emotional wellness for later in life. Chronic stress, and that means long-term, takes a toll on the body, the emotions, and actually even how the mind works. It actually can change, hormonally change your brain. And so while getting things done is important, leaving some things that are not needed undone might actually also be important. Through time, stressful events can actually trigger depression and frustration. Stress reduction strategies for emotional wellness. Let's get into that here quick. They include a few of them here. Mind the basics in caring for yourself. Eat regular and healthful meals. Avoid caffeine. I see a lot of presentations that indicate limit. This was just revised by our HDFS college at NDSU, and they're saying, in some cases, avoid caffeine. Make sure you get enough sleep. You can actually get too much sleep too, just a note there. If you're 65 plus, over 9 hours of sleep is actually too much. We actually have a whole study on sleep that I teach. I just taught it last week. And try to do some kind of regular physical activity each day. And I'm just going to say that one again. Physical activity every day. What you want to do, especially if you're somebody who struggles with arthritis, keep your muscle mass strong and prominent, especially in your legs. And that really just means moving around, sustaining your own body weight, and just being on your legs. That actually can help with your osteoarthritic pain. Take action to give yourself some control in a situation. For example, if you're worried about relocating, make a list of tasks, check them off as you complete them. And it just feels better to take control of a situation that seems overwhelming. Focus attention on what you can control. Recognize that some things are beyond your control. And implement useful relaxation strategies. Successful strategies include what that guy's doing there. Deep breathing maybe too, meditation, visualization of positive, peaceful things. I just think of one that's not on here that I'm going to add, and it might be just being mentally aware of where pain is in your body and sort of just breathe through it. Just check in with your body. Maybe your shoes are too tight. This actually can be significantly de-stressing to your physical body. So managing and reducing stress. So take small steps toward bigger goals instead of being overwhelmed. Find the opportunities in all situations. Changes can be stressful. However, try to see changes positively as opportunities, maybe rather than threats. I was just telling my husband, sometimes I need change. Maybe you move around your decorations on your furniture or something. Develop a sense of humor. Laughter is one of the best strategies for relieving stress. What makes you laugh? Actually, I just went out to lunch today. That's a treat. I'm able to do that once in a while with my husband. We have little kids and we never really get us time. And our server did a little magic trick. And we didn't expect it. When he brought us the bill, he said, and I think he knew we had a good sense of humor, maybe. Maybe it was coming off of us. I'm guessing he didn't do that with everybody, but he told us to guess a number out of 5 numbers and guess a color out of 5 numbers. And indeed, he picked what we said. So it was just cute. And I really appreciated it because it made us laugh together. Give yourself personal time. Try to spend a minimum of 15 to 30 minutes a day in doing activities that rest and rejuvenate you. Caring for yourself helps you be able to care for others, especially if that applies to you now. Okay, just a quick piece on retirement and healthy living. One issue that many individuals face in later life is the transition to retirement. Instead of making an abrupt change, explore some ways to make this a process, transition, so you can plan your future goals and activities. These ideas might include talk with your employer about gradually cutting back on your hours. I've noticed that that's been occurring, at least in our organization. Sometimes they'll take you down to half time or even, 3/4 time, what have you. Sometimes they might even just keep you on for a program or two. Maybe your employer has that option. Consider trying a new career on a part-time basis. Ask your employer about doing a job share with another employee. You might be able to work just, a few hours and end up making a friend at work. Maybe a short leave of absence to sort of work that out and see how it feels. I like this idea. So toward unretirement, and I had to read this. So this is new from Dr. Brotherson's students here. So instead of focusing on retirement in later life, focus on unretirement and put your thoughts, planning, and energy into that. So unretirement, let's define that. It simply means considering how you will stay active, engaged, and healthy if you move from regular work to a new stage of life experience. So other facets of healthy living in later life, we have explored several dimensions. Other areas of learning that you may wish to pursue might include unretirement planning, financial planning for later life. I just want to mention we do have some financial, life stage classes coming up. So you can always inquire about that too with AARP, and Doreen can get with you. But there's, even when it comes to estate planning, long-term care planning, maybe you have a lot of medical bills, there's ways to manage that. As adults, you should consider your total health and future needs and keep learning so you can maintain the best health possible. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and just thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Doreen, for the opportunity. Katie.
Well, thank you, Chandra and Katie. This was awesome. I just take this in all day long. Just so many good things. There's a few points, though, I wanted to bring out that you talked about that really spoke to me. And, the primary connections thing. And I think I would benefit from writing down a list of people that I should contact maybe more regularly, and then just do it. Because I always say I should call so-and-so, or I should, and you just don't do that as much as you should. And that was a good reminder for me.
Yeah. And if I could just interject, sometimes it can be overwhelming for people that aren't list, writers. Those of us who are list writers enjoy that kind of thing. But, just come up with 5 names. And then next to it, 2 of them may be a primary and the others could be secondary. Reach out to the primary maybe twice as often as the secondary. And then, it doesn't seem so overwhelming.
Oh, that's really a good point. And another good one is to just think about some older people in your lives that maybe are pretty lonely right now. And even just a note card, you know how we all love to get a handwritten note or a card in the mail. It's awesome. So I try to do that and remember to do that with some folks, and I encourage others to do that as well. But Katie, you talked a lot about, physical fitness and, staying strong and healthy and exercise and all of that. And, I totally agree. And I'm trying to do the best I can now that I'm over 52, of course. And not that you two are not, obviously, you're not. I am, along with maybe a lot of the other folks listening. And I'm just trying to get as healthy as possible too. And one thing that I found, you can get some cleats for your shoes or your boots. So if it is icy, something like that. And I really benefit from being outside. And just getting that fresh air, even in the wintertime. I don't know,
Yeah,
any studies on that, or do you encourage that as well?
absolutely. So if you can get fresh air at any time, even if you can't maybe be active, it's icy, just even standing on your front porch for 5 minutes, in a jacket or something, that fresh air does wonders, physically and mentally. There's a lot of science and studies behind it, that show that fresh air just brings different reactions in our brain, that releases different hormones and things that we wouldn't get from just staying indoors. And so far, we've really been blessed with a beautiful winter. And, for the most part, roads and sidewalks are cleared. Another opportunity is to seek out the trails that Bismarck Parks and Rec District manages. They do a great job of keeping those trails clear, and more often than not. And I go out in a lot of different conditions, walking and running. And I would say more often than not, those trails are clear and free of ice and snow. And so even if you can drive to a location, and get on a trail versus a sidewalk, I would encourage that as well. And we have a great map resource through the park district to access.
That's a great idea. And one thing my husband and I did last weekend, we went down to one of the golf courses and we walked one of the golf courses. Like nobody else was there. We were all alone. It was awesome. So just another hint for people, another idea. But also, Chandra, you mentioned volunteering, and I know we have a lot of volunteers within the AARP world that may or may not be as busy right now, but we're hoping things turn around very soon and that we can kind of get back to more of those activities. So I really liked what you said about, that purposeful life and giving back and that kind of thing. Anything else, any last comments that you'd want to make on that, or anything else, Chandra? And then I'll give a chance to Katie as well.
Right. We talk about this piece so often. And right now, like you say, it might be at a standstill a little bit, but I'm just going to reiterate that Katie and I both work a lot with the senior centers locally. And I'm pretty sure that she cares as much about your volunteer work. I'm just thinking of Lisa over at Bismarck Senior Center. I'm going to give her name. She cares as much about keeping those people busy as they do about the work itself. So it literally is this social wellness piece. And so if you feel like that's a void right now, truly reach out again.
That's right. And to us as well here at AARP, because we can always find some things to be active in or assist with. We've always got some things going on. So please. So Katie, let's turn it over to you for any final comments or anything else you'd like to add at this point.
All I would like to add is that have that positive attitude, be flexible, and just be willing to maybe step outside the box. I know this past year, and Chandra and I have worked on several things over this past year. And, while COVID has been barriers and challenges, it's really provided a lot of different opportunities, professionally, and ways to kind of reach the public, because our job doesn't stop because there's a pandemic. We just have to rethink. And so that goes too for you, personally. Your life shouldn't stop. And so just rethink of ways that you can connect, and be active and stay healthy, because it's really, you need that positive outlook. And so if there's anything you can take away is, be grateful for what you have, and just kind of find new ways to connect, and engage in life, so that this next half can be the best half.
Oh, love it. Just love all that, what you two both shared with us today. That's just great reminders and stuff that'll help all of us maintain that positive attitude and get through all this together. And we will, and just be all the healthier for it too. So thank you both for joining us today. Chandra and Katie, you were awesome. And we love partnering with NDSU Extension, Burleigh County, and Bismarck Burleigh Public Health. So
You
very
are
much
too.
appreciate
You are
your support.
great. And can we thank Lyle? He's so great too. He's
Yes,
behind the scenes.
he is.
Thank
He
you
and
so
other
much, Doreen.
colleagues are behind the scenes. And
Others too. Okay.
yeah, thanks, Chandra. I appreciate you. We've got lots of folks behind the scenes. So I sure don't do this alone by any means. So I really appreciate you all being on with me. And this Passport to Healthy Living program was another fun event. And we've all picked up some great ideas. And I hope you'll join us next month too, when we have with us, we're going to have Don Kinsler. He's an extension agent from Cass County, and we're going to be talking about spring planting, ordering seeds and getting things ready for those little seedlings and what we need to think about. And when we should start planting those here in North Dakota. And we should start planting those sometime, maybe in March. So Don's going to tell us more about that. So we're going to get ready for him. And that's going to be on the third Wednesday at 3 p.m. So that would be February 17th. So we're looking forward to that. And then remember too that all of these programs are being recorded so that they can be viewed later, and you'll find them on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/AARPND. So again, thank you for joining us for the online Healthy Living for the Second Half of Life program. And thank you to our presenters, Katie and Chandra. Have a great day, everyone.